Hello, this is Devin Easterlin from SJA Property Management, and this is another edition of Landlord's Corner. Today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of short-term leases versus long-term leases. A question we get asked quite often: should I rent my property out for a short-term lease or should I open it up to longer-term leases? So my answer is it depends on what your goals are with the property. So some of the pros of renting a property out for a shorter term is it gives you more flexibility if you're going to move back in. That allows you to give notice and be able to have that flexibility to move in rather than having a tenant be there for the long term where you'd have to wait until the end of that term. Also, you might be able to get a little bit more money for the property if it's rented for a shorter term. So that is also a pro. I know a lot of people and landlords that do very well renting their properties out as Airbnbs, so they can generate a pretty good cash flow. I think the rate that they're charging is much higher than you could do for a standard 12-month lease. So I would say those are the pros associated with it. The cons are it's a lot more labor intensive. So unless you're really committed to being involved in finding new tenants, getting tenants in, getting tenants out, handling the agreements, making sure the property is in good condition, making sure it stays in good condition, handling the lease agreements, all of those issues, I would say you probably want to steer clear. In addition, when you're doing, say, renting your property out every month, you're not going to always have it full. So you're going to incur some vacancy associated with just finding tenants. You know, one tenant moves in, the next tenant moves out, maybe it's 2 weeks later, but that happens, say if you're renting it out on a monthly basis, something like that, that can happen fairly often. So when you take all of that vacancy that you're incurring over the long haul, over the year, that's going to equal a lot of money that you would have saved if you had locked somebody into a 12-month term. So every month of vacancy equals about 8% of the revenue that you already received that year. Also, one of the benefits for renting a property for a standard 12-month term is that's what the majority of renters are looking for. They're looking for that stable property that they know they can be there for at least 12 months. So when you do that, oftentimes you'll get someone that's actually going to stay much longer than 12 months. But the minimum that they want to commit to if they're going to move is a 12-month term. So that opens you up to the most potential renters. We found that when we do use 12-month terms, our average tenants are staying over 2.5 years in the property, provided we're providing good service to them and keeping it well maintained. So that adds some stability to your investment if you can have a long-term tenant like that. You know, so just to recap, I would say if you want to go the short-term rental, you want to be definitely involved. You want to have the time to commit to making sure that you're having that run like a well-oiled machine. You're constantly looking for new tenants and you're keeping it full. If you do that, if you treat it like a small, part-time job, you can do very well in it. It's not something we would take on the management of. It doesn't fit into our business model, but again, it can be for the proactive, savvy landlord. It's an alternative, something to look for. If you're looking for more of that stable, predictable income, that's definitely something that we handle. Most of our leases are 12 months. Sometimes we'll do 6 months for different circumstances, but normally we'll rent them on a 12-month basis or more. We find more stability, more predictable income. So if you have any more questions about this, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.